Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mount Rainier National Park on an absolutely gorgeous early Thursday morning in early September of 2024. This is the road to sunrise, and I hope that you enjoy this short video. We are up early today. Left the house in Ellensburg at 6 a.m. and here it is about 8 a.m. on a gorgeous morning. My favorite time of the year. The crowds are gone for the most part. Mount Rainier. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. Pat Pringle's Roadside Geology of Mount Rainier book. It's excellent, written in 2008, and you have it in PDF form at nickzentner.com. Click on the word Cascades in the upper right and you can get to the whole thing. This is today's drive. I got off of 410. I went past the ranger station, used my America the Beautiful pass, worked like a charm. I had to show my ID, but otherwise it worked out well. And here we are crossing the White River, and our first stop today is about milepost 7. As we're climbing up this, I think this is Sunrise Ridge. And let's see what Pat has to tell us about this particular outcrop. Exposures begin of the andesite of Burroughs Mountain lava flow. The andesite in the outcrop has abundant plagioclase crystals. The flow is one of the longer intracanyon flows that preceded the main cone-building stage of the volcano. Yeah, quite often we know that columns form vertically when a lava flow is horizontal. But in this case, the lava flow, I guess, was not horizontal. It was filling this former large White River Valley. And so the cooling base of the lava flow was perhaps along the side of the valley, and therefore the columns are damn near horizontal. This is Sunrise Point, a hairpin in the Sunrise Road, about 8:30 on a Thursday morning after Labor Day. Stunning morning, my goodness. And I don't know the crags that I'm looking at. I think there's a chance that a couple of these crags are the source of the Ohanapecosh formation. Okay, well, here's going to be a little bit of help. Oh, the Cowlitz chimneys. Okay. Great. So back in the car, I've got a few things to read to you, but the Cowlitz chimneys are in here. And I'm pretty sure the Cowlitz chimneys are at least a couple of the known vents that sourced the Ohanapocosh, those greenish volcaniclastic rocks. Breeze is picking up a little bit. Hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, snow's usually quite thick. You can see the big poles to help the snow plows find the road. So I've never stopped here at Sunrise Point before. If there's a plutonic igneous rock here that's 24 million years old, dated by Jim Mattinson, I'm interested. Because it does seem like a whole number of these plutons are in the 20s, the roaring 20s. And I'm starting to wonder if that's a coincidence. So I think I'm realizing this morning that if I'm driving up to sunrise, I'm getting younger and getting younger and younger in the geology. Why do I think I'm still going to be in the roaring 20s? Well, I don't know, like just following the guide. Oh, I like stuff like this. Completed in 1929, represents a unique approach to road and site planning. State of the art. Yeah, there's some famous Aschel Curtis photos. Well, hell, I'll show you one right now. So what do I have here? I did an interview with Don Swanson yesterday morning in my office. I don't know if you've seen it yet. But Don was giving us the backstory on Aaron Waters and Dick Fisk and Cliff Hobson putting together this rather landmark 1963 publication, and the fieldwork was started in the late 1950s. And I want to come back to that in just a second, but Mount Rainier volcano, Aschel Curtis photograph at the Sunrise parking lot. Okay, well, we're not quite there yet, but Aschel brought these beautiful women up to the Sunrise parking lot 1931, just a couple years after the road was finished. Mary Wells School, modern dancers. What a photo. Everybody hanging out their window with their camera. I'm no different than anybody else. Man. You know, when I make these videos of outcrops, I try not to overthink it. I mean, I could stop at every frickin' spot and it can just be overkill. So I just try to drive until I see something that looks particularly photogenic, and hopefully it's also interesting geologically. It's crazy that this place is 2 hours from my house. Goodness. Forgotten how out of this world this drive is. It looks like we got some till up on the right, or maybe Osceola mudflow this high, I don't know, but not our topic. I think you're kidding me, really? It's like, yeah, I mean, this cone is built on, oh yeah, Ohanapecosh. Okay, all right, got to find a pullout. Yeah, this cone is built on a rugged older landscape. I'm starting to realize that quite carefully now. Oh, come on, I'm not going to get a pullout? Nobody's into the Ohanapocosh? I am. I might have to walk back a ways because this is, here we go. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, yeah. Sunrise Point Pluton and the Ohanapecosh. Yeah, we're gonna walk back a ways. I want to see that. Yeah, I'm working on this narrative which never really occurred to me until recently, that that these crags, these bumps, I think are all older than 10 million years old and represent this former rugged landscape. I'm just picking a number, 10 million years. And then growing kind of out of thin air and superimposed on this old rugged landscape is this incredible scoop of vanilla ice cream. As we look into the sunrise, ironically, on Sunrise Road, just a mile away from Sunrise Visitor Center and Ranger Station, I'm just going to riff off the fact that I think we're looking at the boundary between the Ohanapecosh Formation, the greenish stuff that's back that's in the neighborhood of 30 million years ago. And yeah, we're at 6,000 feet elevation, but remember now, this Ohanapecosh was erupted at sea level, and so has been lifted up to here. But there's also this, brand new to me this morning, this, what was it? Sunrise Point Pluton, or Sunrise Ridge Pluton, that's in the neighborhood of 24 million years old. So it's these rocks that most people are blowing right by because the crown jewel of the Pacific Northwest is a mile away. It's these older rocks that I'm interested in getting a story from. And the story so far is that there's incredible explosions 30 million years ago with the greenish Ohanapecosh. And then 20 million years ago, the Sunrise Pluton, I don't know what else to call it right now, I'll just call it that. The 20 million year old Sunrise Pluton comes up through, and we're still 20 million years before that thing. So when you hear that we're going to be studying the Cascade volcanoes, I think you're going here mentally, aren't you? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, for goodness sake? And I understand. But I think most of the winter, it might be a disappointment to you, I think most of the winter I'm going to be in here. I'm going to be in here because there's more than 45 million years of history down here that sets the stage for these beautiful crown jewels. Rainier, Adams, St. Helens, Glacier Peak, Baker in Washington, and then of course beyond. Okay, from 1963, the Dick Fisk map of Mount Rainier National Park. Thanks to Kirsten in the printing shop on campus for doing this with short notice yesterday. And I have taken a black Sharpie and highlighted the roads. Coming over Chinook Pass, Cayuse Pass. We've done videos down here in the trees on the Ohanapocosh River Valley. This is the road up to Paradise, if you're familiar with that. We're not doing that today. Instead, this morning, I stayed on 410, got on the Sunrise Road, crossed the White River Valley. This is the Burroughs Mountain lava where we started the video, Ice Age lava, beautiful pink finger coming out here. We stopped at Sunrise Point, which I think is this one, not this one. Yeah, it is, because that's, what was that lake? Is that Sunrise Lake? And now we're like right in here. And the color scheme is frustrating to me. I love the map, but why isn't this all green, man? Why wouldn't you color all the Ohanapecosh green? Because the rocks are frickin' green. Whatever. I'm going to color the entire Ohanapecosh green. And if there's different units within the Ohanapecosh, I'm going to find different shades of green. But green has to be the Ohanapecosh. Come on, let's not overthink it. And so yes, the Fisk had these three colors within the Ohanapecosh. He did have some green, which are basaltic andesite flows and coarse mud flows. He did have a little bit of rhyolite, orange, and the gray is a bunch of volcanic breccia, sandstone, siltstone. Again, everything's down at sea level 30 million years ago. And you can see how much of the eastern half of Mount Rainier National Park is Ohanapecosh. So cross-section A to A prime is A to A prime. And cross-section B to B prime is B to B prime. What do I want to show you? With B to B prime, I mainly want to show you the South Cowlitz Chimney and the double peak as these important vents from 30 million years ago. And they're frickin' right over here. I don't know which one is double peak, but I think I have learned from the kiosk that that's the chimney, the South Cowlitz Chimney. So I find it wild that 30 million years later, we have a jagged skyline with two vents that are thumbs. We're back to the thumb idea that I commented on with Kelly Wall in the Goat Rocks. Those thumbs really are topographic highs? Those vents are really topographic highs? I guess so. I find that surprising and really, really cool. But I think there's major mystery because the Ohanapecosh is so frickin' thick. It can't come from two dinky little vents, so there must be many, many more sources. But what do you notice? You notice that TG, this peach-colored TG, is the Tatoosh Pluton. The Tatoosh Pluton and associate intrusions, all the dikes and sills that are offshoots from the Tatoosh, that's what dominates in these cross-sections. Look at each of these cross-sections. Of course, there's the Rainier, the cone, but the cone is sitting on top of a incredibly large, voluminous Tatoosh Pluton, which you can see why cross-sections are so important. If you look at the map, you hardly see any orange, right? You see white glacial ice, you see pink Mount Rainier andesite lavas, but in cross-section you can see that that's not much at all compared to what's at depth. This incredible Tatoosh Pluton, which is cutting across the far older Ohanapecosh. Morning.
Hello.
They're from Nevada, everybody. Or maybe they rented a car at SeaTac. Yeah. Well, now that I've struggled a little bit with the Ohanapecosh and all the fine-grained particles, I don't know what this green is. Is this olivine? kind of cool. Some little green. Wow, what is that? I'll have to read. Oh yeah, this is really nice. So we're down to this level of detail. I think there's 3 units that are possible just generally on this section of the Sunrise Road. I think we have to be in Ohanapecosh. The other choices are Burroughs Mountain andesite, no, and Sunrise Pluton, or the greater Tatoosh Pluton, no. So we're definitely in Ohanapecosh here, but man, these are cute. I don't really know what I'm looking at. They look like little olivine blocks. I'm going to stop talking. I don't really know what I'm looking at. But this kind of orientation is interesting. Remember, this is the stuff that's down at sea level. What am I looking at? Little like olivine xenoliths, like rolling around in a bunch of shattered flattened pumice. My God. And you're like, where are you? Some hands and knees thing? No, man, I'm still at the same spot. Can you see why there are some stories that are often overlooked? This is a stunning spot. Well, here we are, 6,400 feet, but not interested. You now have this at nickzentner.com. Click on the word Cascades in the upper right. A PDF of the map and cross sections and a PDF of this publication. And no, you do not get the ant. Let's read. Almost 400 square miles. The volcano composed chiefly of flows of pyroxene andesite built upon an earlier mountainous surface, carved from altered volcanic and sedimentary rocks invaded by plutonic and hypabyssal igneous rocks of great complexity. The oldest rocks in the park are the Ohanapecosh, more than 10,000 feet thick, almost entirely of volcanic debris. Lava, coarse mud flows, heaped around volcanic centers. Okay, this is good. That's the South Cowlitz Chimney. Right? Fisk. The South Cowlitz Chimney, a plug of flow-banded rhyolite in the Sarvent lava complex. The plug's sheer rock face is about 500 feet high. Okay, so what? Why is that important? The origin of the Ohanapecosh poses several problems. The most important is the source of the tremendous volume of tough breccia and interstratified, thin-bedded volcaniclastic rocks. Did these same volcanic centers supply the more widespread, finer-grained debris? And if they did, how was it transported from the vents? And in what kind of depositional environment was it eventually accumulated in such quantity? Most of the volcaniclastic rocks in the Ohanapecosh probably deposited in water. There's not many pillow structures in the area. The depth of the water undoubtedly varied during Ohanapecosh time. Here's what I'm leading to. The only known source areas that have been discovered in the park are Sarvent and Mount Wow lava complexes. And at least a part of the Ohanapecosh fragmental material appears to have derived from these volcanic centers. The lavas and coarse mud flows that are clustered near the vents represent the less mobile, extrusive products that formed local islands in a sea of more mobile volcanic debris. The most spectacular physiographic feature is South Cowlitz Chimney, a prominent spire soaring 500 feet above its immediate surroundings. Bingo! The pinnacle is composed of flow-banded rhyolite. The banding is contorted, but generally stands at high angles. As this mass is clearly a plug of one of the vents and consists of rock very similar to many of the felsite fragments in the Ohanapecosh, it may well mark the source of at least a part of the fragmental debris. 5 other vents have been mapped in and near the Sarvent area. 2 of these vents, Double Peak and the knob west of Barrier Peak, contain highly brecciated basaltic andesite lithologically similar to the Ohanapecosh lava. The remaining 3 are small plugs of basaltic andesite, satellite dikes which lie on a north-south line just east of the Cowlitz Divide. Volcanic vents are probably present in the Mount Wow lava complex, though none have been positively identified. All right, well, is this the Cowlitz Divide? Is this thing over here the whole Cowlitz Divide? And if so, are many of the crags up there different potential vents for the Ohanapecosh? And if the Ohanapecosh is so frickin' thick and vast, what's so special about just this area right in here? I guess that's what these guys are saying. Like, you can't just have a few little vents sourcing the dominant formation that I think Don Swanson said he could see all the way down to St. Helens. And how far north does the Ohanapecosh go as well? Okay, here we go. The other story from today's video is the Tatoosh Pluton. The Fifes Peak Formation and the earlier formations, including the Ohanapecosh, were gently folded, faulted, uplifted, and eroded before the Tatoosh Pluton worked its way upward to shallow depths and eventually broke through to the surface. The rise of the Pluton was accompanied by injection of all sorts of stocks, sills, and dikes. A favored horizon for the intrusion of the sills was at the boundary between the Ohanapecosh and the overlying Stevens Ridge. Okay, that's probably I don't know, but that's probably our big fat sill we had in the Ohanapecosh video that I posted recently. Sill is piled on sill along this unconformity to form a complex that resembles a huge cedar tree laccolith. I like that. At several places, the magma broke through to the surface, initiating a series of explosive volcanic events. When is this? How old is the Tatoosh? Is it 20? Is it younger? Palisades. Extensive erosion unroofed the Tatoosh Pluton and carved canyons as deep as 4,000 feet into the plutonic rock, and that occurred before Mount Rainier volcano began to form. And then it talks about building the cone. Yeah, so maybe you're starting to see why the building of the cone is not a current interest. When did the deep incision of the Ohanapocosh and Tatoosh Pluton happen? Was it recent? Was the deep cutting into this older landscape younger than 5 million years old? Is it tied to the dramatic uplift of the Cascades since 5 million years ago? That's a cool thought. And it all just comes from the abstract from this amazing paper. Okay, more good stuff from Fisk. Tatoosh Pluton. The intrusive rocks of Mount Rainier area are considerably more complex than the early reconnaissance workers realized. Talking about Bailey Willis, George Otis Smith, Israel Russell. There's lots of different compositions, and they occur in amazingly intricate sill complexes, dike swarms, and irregular composite stocks. Here's where it gets good. Despite this great variability, the plutonic rocks of Rainier are not unique. They are strikingly similar to those of the nearby Snoqualmie batholith, whose position with respect to the Tatoosh mass is shown in figure 32. So yeah, you go up to Snoqualmie batholith, you come down here today to Tatoosh batholith, essentially, the Tatoosh Pluton, Bumping Lake Pluton. Look what these guys say. Now this is before Mike Eddy's geochronology. They also show similarities to other mid-tertiary intrusives in the Cascades. Among those are the one north of Spirit Lake, the Spirit Lake Pluton near Mount St. Helens, the Star Peak stock, the Cloudy Pass intrusion, and the Laurel Hill intrusion at the southwest base of Mount Hood. All these possibly connect underground into a continuous plutonic body that underlies the entire North Cascades at depth. But since there is no direct connection between them at the surface, and since the presence of a continuous plutonic mass beneath the Cascades is hard to prove, it seems best to designate the Pluton of Mount Rainier by a separate name, instead of considering it part of the Snoqualmie mass, as Combs did back in the 1930s. Okay, flip you around. Okay, this is kind of a big moment. It feels like. That Mike, Eddy, and team working on the Spirit Lake Pluton, and Kelly Wall and Hannah Shamloo working in the Goat Rocks area, And nearby the Goat Rocks is the Tatoosh Pluton here, and the Bumping Lake Pluton, and the Cloudy Pass. I mean, back in the 1960s, I realize it's 60 years ago, but back in the 1960s, these guys are wondering out loud in a major paper, are they all the same thing? And do we have any abilities, whether it's geochronology or geophysics, to actually show that all this batholith material is the same stuff? That might be one of our major questions this coming winter. And talking to whoever I can talk to, and read whatever I can read. But I know it's 1963. I mean, I was born in 1962. Come on, I'm an old guy now. And some of you might be going, why are you spending so much time with the 1963 paper from Mount Rainier? I'm not sure there's been much done since then, and that's maybe deeply offensive to some who have spent some time up here. But this feels like a major paper for the time, and I think even road guides and other things are constantly using this Fisk paper. And so if they're asking questions in 1963, I think I'm still listening. And maybe it's obvious to many who work up here that it cannot be a connected mass, as they say, between the Spirit Lake Pluton, the Tatoosh Pluton, the Bumping Lake Pluton, the Snoqualmie Pluton, the Cloudy Pass Pluton. Okay, maybe we can rule that out immediately. But wouldn't it be fun to see if there is a potential connection between all these Plutons? Talk about a major narrative. I mean, if you watch these videos and you hear me talking about I'm searching for narratives, here's an example. Well, thanks everybody for watching this video. This is a series of videos that I'm just trying to get up here and film before the weather turns for good. How many more days are we going to have with high pressure over the Cascades and beautiful weather for us to enjoy some of these places? You're like, come on, it's early September. Well, most of you know that the days are numbered before we get snow and we can't get up here again until next summer. And in that case, I think we'll be done with our Cascade study. So as opposed to doing other things on campus and live streaming from my office and other things, I'm trying in these next couple of weeks to get up here and to get to many of these places that have Cascade narratives for us to sink our teeth into this upcoming winter. Thank you. I love you and goodbye. From Sunrise Road, Mount Rainier National Park.